The object hurtled through the atmosphere wreathed in flame. The wind screamed and howled as if it knew exactly what was contained within, wailing because it knew it was about to witness horror and brutality. Beneath the sheet of fire and crackling plasma, its smooth titanium shell began to fold, alter its own shape. Flaps more like the elytra of a beetle than wings, spread out, slowing it. The shriek of the wind pitched higher, and then finally it plunged into the jungle, causing the earth to shudder. Trees bent inwards from impact, and then bent away from the shockwave, as if trying to get away from the thing that had fallen from the sky. The rainforest was momentarily silent, and then came the hammering sound. Heavy, powerful thuds sounded from within the smoking crater in which the metal egg-like shape sat. Finally, a glowing metal panel flew loose of the object and crashed into the underbrush, where plants withered and smoked under its heat. The shape that emerged was massive, bulky. Wafts of predatory animal stench, sweat, fire, and grease carried with it. Heavy footfalls punished the soil as it pulled itself out of the glowing pod. The creature's nose, ice blue in color, wrinkled as it took in the smells of the jungle. Smoking plants, burning metal, rain, sap, rot, and under it all, the stench of man. A wide, tusked mouth spread into a tyrannosaur grin. Soon there would be blood and suffering. Soon there will be skulls beneath the boot. Soon there will be slaves and sorrow and red tides on the seaside. Yanghu had finally landed. Welcome to Swords Against Madness, an experiment in gonzo storytelling and solo role-playing. I'm playing a solo game of Swords and Wizardry, amplified by other classic role-playing games like Traveller, and accompanied by solo role-playing tools like the Mythic Game Master Emulator. First I play the game, then I turn it into a psychedelic sword and planet audio drama for your entertainment. Swords and Wizardry is based on the original 1974 through 1977 rules to Dungeons & Dragons. It is trippy, fast-paced, and lethal, just the way I like it. There will be no protection for player characters when the dice decide that their number is up. But I do keep this story PG, or at least what passed for PG in the 1980s. If you didn't see it in Temple of Doom, Goonies, or Gremlins, you won't hear about it here. So reload that three-bladed sword. Get comfortable in your studded leather kirtle or your chainmail bikini. Fire up the wizard van. It's time to get weird. Yanghu waded through the water with heavy tread. A week, an entire infernal week he had spent trying to hack the Zur's cutter. The gutless traitors had worked hard to make sure no one could take their toys. Oh, he was spoiling for a fight. There were men on this island, and other small wretches like men. He was looking forward to ripping someone limb from limb in front of the helpless crowds. To a few episodes of pointless, careless brutality to work it all out on someone. But there'd be time enough to conquer that pathetic little village. With any luck, his stolen Gorum had done half the job for him. But first he was going to find whoever had been meddling with his facilities. Nothing sated the appetite quite like righteous fury. His gauntlet showed this to be the last place that the wretched monkeys had played with his devices. Not one of his Gorum freezing facilities. Oh no, they had to go further than that. They had put their filthy pink paws on his private collection of Carver Tech. The humans of this world were neobarbs, primitives, sad and superstitious. But still, it would be far easier to wait, to make sure none of them actually had figured out any of this technology before he enslaved their village. Primitive and stupid were not necessarily the same thing. He walked slow, enjoying the feeling of the water sloshing around his space boots. There was someone in here, and he wanted them scared.
I can smell you in here, human. Your sweat and your filth. You have been touching my toys without permission. Now it's time to come out and play.
He moved slowly into the cave mouth. For a moment he paused and leaned down. A battered bedroll. A burned-out torch. A ruined book. No, they had been there too long. He crushed the torch to punk in his fingertips. The book was ruined and moldy.
No, you're going to make me come in there and find you? You stroll in here, hack my door, play with my things, and now you don't want my hospitality. Well, then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get you. And you will know pain, and you will know fear. And then I will twist your head off and use it for a chamber pot. Then I will carry your filthy skull to the nearby village, and I will find out who is your kin, and make them suffer as well.
Yanghu took a long, deep breath. There was definitely a fresh smell of man, and he was sure the coward had not come back this way. He had designed this place to have no other exit. No, they were in there all right. But there was something else on the air. Something he couldn't place. Incense? Perfume? Musk? No matter. They had chosen pain and suffering. Who was he to make them wait? He stooped through the metal door he had left embedded in the back of the cave, briefly noting the barnacles clinging to the edges of the door plate, the withered seaweed and oceanic detritus scattered on the floor. Caution was replaced by cool fury. How long had they been toying with his things? An ancient surgical capsule stood open in the center of the next room. Its blades were caked with old, dried blood. It showed signs of heavy use and poor maintenance. Had these monkeys been performing surgery? With his toys? And what was that? A glass bottle lay just inside the automed. And inside it, a pink bloom coming off of a fleshy knot that looked suspiciously like a human brain. A slow, steady fume of its pollen lifted out of the tip of the bottle. Scowling, Yanghu lifted it up. What was this for? And then the dread thought occurred to him. What if this was here to blind his sense of smell? Yanghu whipped around just in time to see a figure barreling towards him. A horny, gnarled fist of tangled flesh, embedded with spikes and metal rivets, collided with his chest. He looked in disbelief at the grinning, skull-like face of a Gorum. Its monstrous roar was accompanied by the voices of others, as a surge of the creatures came barreling at him. A spiked boot caught him in the groin, pushing him back into the surgical chamber. Another fist with steel rings embedded in the knuckles hammered at his arm, forcing him to let go of the chamber. And then there came a fist to the gut that doubled even his massive bulk over, giving the chamber a chance to snap shut. Yanghu then let out a roar of his own, as bladed limbs came to life and descended towards him.
It's time for battle!
Yanghu has blundered into a trap. Whether the Master expected him here, or whether this was meant as a trap for Mormont or Halu, I'm not quite certain. We'll figure that out as we go. But he's already in a bad position. He's been ambushed by 6 Gorum. Worse yet, he's been thrown into an ancient Carver surgical pod. I'm going to roll 3 initiatives here. 1 for the Gorum, 1 for the surgical pod, and 1 for Yanghu. On the surgical pod's turn, Yanghu is going to take 3d10 damage. On his turn, he may use his action to attempt a save versus paralysis to break out. The Gorum, in the meantime, will quite gleefully try and keep the pod shut. If they beat him on the initiative, I'm going to give him a -4 on his saving throw. So let's see how this plays out. Initiative for Yanghu, 1. Initiative for the machine, 5. Initiative for the Gorum, 6. Bellowing with bloodlust and cackling to themselves, the Gorum braced against the pod, holding it shut as they could hear Yanghu begin to roar and scream in agony. On that surprise round, the Gorum inflicted 8 damage on Yanghu. His regeneration heals part of it. But now he's eating another 19 damage. The Gorum hear the machines fire up, and Yanghu howls in agony as blades and claws descend upon him. And now I'm rolling a d20 with a -4 to see if he can get out. Yanghu needs to beat a 12. That's a -2. Things are going very, very bad for our ogre mage. And now it's time for initiative again. Yanghu, a 3. The machine, a 2. The Gorum, a 2. Now we'll make that saving throw without the penalty. 17. On that first roar, Yanghu's fists hammered on the inside of the door, knocking the Gorum back. Before they can throw themselves back against the hatch, it flies apart in a shower of plasteel. And Yanghu staggers out. The Gorum surge at him from all directions, bringing down a hail of metal-plated limbs. A hit. A miss. Oh, natural 20. Even as he staggers lacerated and bloodied from the blades of the med pod, Yanghu is greeted with a hail of blows. A shot beneath the ribs doubles him over, causing him to cough. And while he fends off one of the Gorum as it flings itself at him, spiked knuckles first, he takes a sudden and unexpected shot to the throat. Yanghu doubles over as the blows rain down. Miss. A natural 1. And another miss. Yanghu sinks beneath a scrum of flying fists and feet. He gets hold of a leg and throws, sending one of the Gorum sprawling. And then with a howl of rage, he throws them back, looming over twice their height. The initiative is now between Yanghu and the Gorum. Yanghu gets a 2, the Gorum get a 5. Things are not great for the space pirate. Even with his regeneration, he has only 10 hit points left. I'm going to make a morale check for him. Oh no, it's not happening. The blood rage is upon Yanghu. Yanghu swings a meaty arm like a tree trunk, swatting one of the Gorum to let him take a few steps out of their reach, allowing them to throw a few more punches as he maneuvers himself. He receives a painful blow to his hip that nearly knocks him to his knees. But still he manages to pull himself free. He staggers a few steps, turns and outstretches his hand. There's an unnatural roaring sound as a cloud of ice and snow erupt from his palm. Yanghu's cone of cold does 8d6 damage. In this case, dealing 24. Even if the Gorum were to save for half damage, they would all be frozen solid. And as this is a magical effect, he kills them completely.
Ungrateful wretches, oblivion take you.
Yanghu was panting from exhaustion and blood loss. His head was spinning. He had never been so close to death. Never felt his heart hammer so hard. The pain was something else. And that's when he heard the clap.
Well done. Well done indeed. I was expecting a show, but you have surpassed all expectations. Now, if you'd kindly throw down your weapons, I might even spare you.
Hi, I'm John from Tale of the Manticore.
Robin from Stories from the First Watch.
PJ from A Wasteland Story and the Solo Role Players podcast.
Simon from Legend of the Bones.
Brian Rideout from Swords Against Madness.
Carl from The Lone Adventurer.
And I'm Trevor from Your Story Will Be Different.
And with our solo role-playing audio,
Narrative,
Actual play,
drama powers combined,
we are the Solo Role Players Podcast Network.
Usually accustomed to delving the depths,
Scouring the desert,
surviving the wasteland,
or facing the dragon alone.
This time, we have teamed up to bring you a curated collection
of the best,
highest quality,
most dramatic,
and diciest
solo roleplay podcasts in the world.
There are dozens of us.
So if you're looking for your next solo role-playing adventure,
roll over to soloroleplayersnetwork.com.
Sample and subscribe to something that takes your fancy.
And discover your new favourite solo role-playing podcast.
See you there.
I play this game a couple of adventures at a time. I like to binge on Swords and Wizardry for several hours, making copious notes as I go. Sometimes a single play session will take me months to work out as a podcast. But for this medium, it pays off sometimes to check in on your bad guys and see what they're doing. So once in a while, I just sit down with Swords and Wizardry, and on the fly tell the story of what's going on with one of my villains. It keeps things fresh and keeps the energy pumping. It's also completely off the cuff and full of surprises for me. I played the action here live, coming up with my ideas, rolling the dice, and adjudicating the results, all live on mic. Just before the session, I rolled a 1d4 to tell me which villain I'd be focusing on. Yanghu, Halu, Mormont, or the Master. It told me I needed to focus on Yanghu, so I thought a great deal about what he needed. Yanghu has a huge star freighter rigged out for piracy, but no crew to fly it. It seems logical to me that he will either recruit or enslave crew, which means coming down to the surface. But he also knows somebody has been tampering with his Gorum and his technology. He doesn't want any nasty surprises when he stomps into a village and starts mangling people. So the logical first step is to see what's been taken and who has it. While he knows that people have been pilfering his caches for the last couple of years, there is only one face and name he can put to this mess, and that's Mormont. It made sense as well that he would use a computer to figure out which one of his caches was last tampered with. So I rolled randomly off of a list of possible dungeons located around the island, including his showroom, the pit, another Gorum facility, the Fane of the All-Knowing, and a couple of more Trossi caches around the island. I also rolled randomly to determine who was there, with a chance of it being Mormont, Halu, a random party of adventurers, or the Master. Then, after asking a couple of questions of the Game Master Emulator, I established that the Master knew Yanghu would be looking, and had some sense of how he would be looking for people who have been tampering with his things. I get the impression he's also listened to a log of the conversation between Mormont and Yanghu that happened way back in Episode 7. It would be the easiest thing in the world for the Master to round up some favored minions, a handful of Gorum, and set a trap for Yanghu in the very facility where he first became the Master. described way back in episode 23. I let the dice guide me from there, and man, has it put Yanghu in a world of hurt. Whatever happens in the next few minutes of play will totally reshape my campaign. I can't wait. The Master stood, horrible and beautiful, in one of the hatchways beyond the surgical pod. Surrounding him, his brides, his concubines. Women stolen from the island, from pirate crews, from castaways, bent, twisted, and beautified to the tastes of the Master, which had begun to creep into forms with too many limbs. Long, slender, curved bone structure. Bizarre, inhuman adornments. Each and every one of them would be madness to behold for any normal man. They hissed and chittered among themselves as the Master reached down and pulled a strange glass sphere from his belt.
I give you but one chance, creature. Do not bore me with pointless acts of defiance. You will find my dear ones are far more deadly than mere Gorum, and much more adept at inflicting survivable pain.
Yanghu grit his teeth and pulled himself unsteadily to his feet.
I am Yanghu, third Janissary of the Trossi Syndicate, and you are trespassing on my domain.
Do not try to fool me with idle conversations, Yanghu. I see how swiftly your flesh knits. I have no intention of letting you become strong enough to fight me. Surrender, or suffer consequences.
And here I'm at a crossroads. Yanghu was beaten down to 2 hit points by the end of the last fight. Assuming the Master has been talking only for a little while now, he's probably back up to 9, perhaps 11 hit points. He's also used his 1 attack power. So I'm going to roll against his morale of 10, with a -2 penalty. Here goes. I rolled a 10. Yanghu shuddered. His interest in the Carver had always been a matter of the best treasures and the best illicit weapons to find. But face to face with someone who had embraced the lore, who had dabbled in the flesh crafting, who could make and stand the touch of these twisted abominations that fawned over him. No, he didn't think he could win this fight.
Very well. I yield, Fleshcrafter.
Yanghu lay the scabbard for his sword, the blasters and daggers about his person at the Master's feet. The Master gestured with the glass orb, and something horrid stirred within. A collection of tentacles suddenly burst free and grabbed Yanghu by the wrists and throat. He choked and spluttered as he felt something being crammed into his throat. Something burned and scratched as it went down, and then bottomed out twisting and squirming in his gut. The tentacles lifted Yanghu for a moment longer as the Master considered him, then dropped him back to his knees.
It is exactly as I predicted, my pet. He saw your beauty and knew he could not win this battle. Not after he sacrificed his greatest powers against the Gorum. And now his loyalty is assured, unless he wants one of my other special creations to eat its way out of him at least. Rise, Yanghu. You and I have much to discuss, and do not worry. You will not come to any great harm, although I may yet have cause to improve you.
Yanghu pulled himself to his massive feet, considering the Master, considering what it might take to lunge into battle now and finish him. Whatever now lurked in his guts could sense his thoughts, and he was greeted with an agonizing pain ripping through his stomach.
Yes, I will do as I am told. I will do as I am told.
But of course you will. And now I trust you understand what is at stake if things come to unpleasantries. Let us become pleasant friends. I have much to ask you, and many plans you can help me make.
What possible plans could you be thinking to hatch on this primitive island?
This island is a prison, a constraint. It has prevented me from reaching the true apotheosis I seek. And now, you are my gateway to the stars. I shall go up and stride across the heavens, shedding behind me all the remaining imperfections that this world cannot. We will go to places forbidden and feared, where once an army that the whole of the cosmos shuddered to think of sat. And there I will find the Carver's work. I will improve upon it, reshape it, purge it of all of its weaknesses. I shall become perfection.
Huh. Fine talk. And what would you do with this perfection?
I would do what any being that understands good and evil would do if they became perfect. Call the gods to account for the horrors they have wrought with this universe they have made.
You speak utter madness.
I do not require you to believe or understand. I only need you to obey. Although perhaps I can do something for your weakness of imagination.
Swords Against Madness is played, written, and performed by Brian C. Rideout. Editing, mastering, and audio production were from Stormhead Productions. All sound effects are licensed from Pixabay. This episode of Swords Against Madness featured the song King Edward by Mr. Smith, a Creative Commons by attribution song distributed through the Free Music Archive. It also featured Acid Core by Jumping Bunny, Dark Pagan Ritual Chant by Domarty Studios, Dark Temple Geisha by Yellowbird Beats, Scorched Fields by Alexander Nakarada, Hate, Game Show, and This Metal by Mr. Claps, Earthquake by Leva, Stylish Blues Rock Wild West by Brightest Avenue, and Outlaws Reckoning by Mood Mode, all made available through Pixabay. All sound effects in this episode are also from Pixabay, and used in accordance with their license. I love hearing from my audience. Please get in touch with me. Find me on X at SwordsVMadness, or just email me at swordsvmadness@stormheadproductions.ca. And if you want to support the show, check out my many weird offerings on DriveThruRPG. Search for Death Trap Games. And until next time, roll high, play hard, and think weird. Thanks so much for listening.